सर ज्वाइन कीजिए ना। हेलो हेलो।
हेलो।
या गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
हाँ, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार सर। ज्वाइन हो रहे हैं सर। वी
हाँ,
विल
ठीक है।
वेट फॉर 5 मिनट्स सर।
नो प्रॉब्लम।
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Shall we start, sir?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon and welcome back. We were studying yesterday about the 3D printing, correct? And we were on one of the slides. So I'm sharing my screen and I'm starting again.
Yes,
Correct.
sir.
So let me share my screen and let me start again.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So here,
Screening not sharing, sir. Not seen, sir. Hello. You, okay. Now it is visible, sir. Everyone visible to the screen?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, sir.
so yesterday we were talking about the can you see the screen?
Yeah, sir. We are able to see the screen, sir.
Okay, so yesterday we talked about STL slicing, STL file in slicing. So have all of you have done try to see the thing? STL फाइल बना के देखा आप लोगों ने?
Anyone done this STL file?
सर घर में पीसी नहीं है.
No one. I think no one has tried, sir.
No one has tried.
I don't have PC and laptop.
This time, some of the
सर,
students
मैं
don't have
मैथ
in the.
कर रहा था.
Okay. Okay, so this screen, so I have told you yesterday that there's something called tessellation, and then you can have it, you can do slicing in a different software. So what this information, the digital information which you get in terms of slicing, that is called layered model. This is a digital layered model. So once this digital layered model is made,
Hello,
then
sir.
you can,
Sir, I
use that.
shared one link, sir.
Hello, हेलो, आपको सुनाई दे रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then
Wait a minute,
this
sir. I
digital
will forward
information
that
you
link
have
again, sir, to you.
used to physically make this part that is in a 3D printer. So this RP system, what I have written here, is nothing but a 3D printer. So what this this step, that is generation of laser scanning paths or material deposition paths. This depends on the kind of 3D printer you are using. So some 3D printer use laser. Some 3D printer do not use laser. They use different kind of energy to, deposit material. Like in case of one of the most economical 3D printer, there's a wire which is being melted, and you deposit the material through a nozzle. So those are called material deposition paths. So this 3D printer will actually calculate all these paths, and then the material will be deposited in this 3D printer. So you will basically get a prototype from this 3D printer. Is it clear to everybody? Now this prototype will either be a complete prototype in itself that does not require any processing, or most of the time you need to post process this particular information. You have to post process this particular information. Is it all right? So you can see that this is the post processing, and then you have to test the prototype. It is found okay, then you will accept the prototype. Otherwise, if there are drawbacks, you will go back and you will do the design modifications, and then you can again follow the process. So this is called additive manufacturing process chain, which is one of the standard way of producing the components or prototypes using 3D printing. Okay, so this is one example. Suppose you want to produce a component like this. So you are making a CAD model or a solid model, whatever you call it, correct? So this is the example of a solid model. It is a virtual model, which is actually not there. It is just having some digital information in terms of maybe some PRT file, or maybe in terms of step file or IGS file, which is saved as a STL file. So I have shown you this picture yesterday also, that what do we do in the various surfaces of this CAD model, they are being tessellated. Tessellated means they are being approximated by small triangles, the way it has been shown in this particular picture. So one such triangle has been shown in enlarged way. So V1, V2, V3 is a triangle, approximated triangle, and the actual surface is the curved surface, which is given below. So what do you see? That there will be a deviation. This deviation delta is called as quadrant error or maximum faceted deviation. So more is the faceted deviation, you will find, more will be, smaller will be the more will be this delta value, bigger will be the triangle. So it will be a bigger approximation, like you can, and smaller will be the value of delta, very fine triangles will be produced. So one has to make a compromise, one has to take a decision that what kind of uh, this size of the triangle one has to select. Because if you select very big triangles, if you take very large value of delta, then big triangles will be formed and deviation will be very high. So the component which you want to produce, that will not be exactly same as the geometry which you want to do. Is it clear to everybody? Hello, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now I have
Yes,
moved
sir.
to the next slide. I move quickly to the step 2 slicing. Step 2 slicing. So in slicing, what do? We try to, slice the component. So what do? There's a STL file, and that STL file is being intersected by horizontal planes. So here you can see there are so many horizontal planes are there which are cutting the STL file. So basically, what do you get? You are going to get a polygon kind of shape. So you'll get a polygon kind of shape. So these are actually polygons which have been shown in this left side of your figure. So these are the polygons. They may be less nested polygons also sometimes, because definitely in a complex component you will have nested polygons only. If the component is very simple, then only you have simple polygon. So that's how you do slicing. Now generally we make slices of uniform thicknesses. Like most of the slices, like if you see today's technology, today's 3D printing technology, for a particular component, when you start printing, all the layers are of same thickness. They may be say 200 microns, all the layers are of 200 microns, or all the layers are of 300 microns, or all the layers of 400 microns. So within the limit of the machine or the 3D printer, you can change the layer thickness, but the layer thickness will be same throughout. So if you see this particular diagram, here you can see that the layer thickness is variable. Like here, very fine slices are there, then thick slices are there, then again fine slices are there. Like here you can see in this region, the slices are quite thick. So this is called adaptive slicing. This concept is called adaptive slicing. So adaptive slicing, if you are using, then you will be able to maintain better surface quality, because you will be able to control the stepping effect. At the same time, you will also be able to lower down the you will be also able to lower down the this thing. What do you call build time? That is in part building time. So this adaptive slicing, if you're using, then you can have a better surface quality. At the same time, you can also have low build time. That's what is the advantage of adaptive slicing. But today, you don't have any 3D printer which can work like this. So it is an open problem, research problem for all of you, that if you can develop a 3D printer which can adaptively sliced component which can deposit. Because the challenge here is that the process parameters which you use, they have to adaptively change when you change from one slice thickness to another slice thickness, and they have to be optimized also. So that is actually the issue which we have to see. Okay, so I'm moving to the next slide. The next slide is generation of laser scanning paths or material deposition paths. So depending upon the kind of 3D printer you are having, it may be laser 3D printer, it may be having FDM kind of 3D printer. I'll show you different 3D printers in my subsequent slides. So you can have the various 3D printers. The deposition of layers uh, you can do, but and the 3D printers which we have actually, they can be categorized as various, I'll say, they can be categorized like this: uh, liquid based systems, powder based systems, or solid based systems. So I'll tell you the description of all these things along with the diagrams in my forthcoming slides. So then it comes the post processing. So post processing you can do, uh, that is the post curing. Like in some of the 3D printers, you find that the part is not completely cured in the 3D printer. So you need additional furnace. You remove the green component from the 3D printer and keep it in a furnace where it gets sintered, or it gets sintered once further until the complete polymerization reaction is achieved, or maybe sintering is achieved. Then support structures. Now support structure is something which is a very important aspect of 3D printing. Why it is important aspect? Because if you are producing a component and later on there is an overhanging feature, correct? So if you have not planned in advance, there will be nothing on which you will deposit, correct? So that's the issue which we face. So if there's an overhanging feature, you need to plan for the support structure from the very beginning, and you have to deposit the support structure on which later, when the geometry will come, when the overhanging feature will come, you will deposit on that support structure. So later on, you have to remove that support structure because that is not the part of the component. Then it is being finished by sanding, polishing, or painting. So after that, we finish it by sanding, polishing, or painting. So that's what. So the surface quality of these prototypes one can improve by either sanding, polishing, or by painting. Okay. So what happens is that in few hours of time, if you are having 3D printer with you in your laboratory or in your company, in few hours of time, from CAD model, which is a virtual CAD model, you can have a physical prototype in your hand. That's why these processes were also called rapid prototyping machines. Correct? Today we call them as 3D printers also. We call them as additive manufacturing machines also, when the machines are bigger machines, industrial grade machines, which can use different kinds of materials, even the metallic materials. Then we call them as the additive manufacturing. Okay, now I'll explain you the generalized illustration of data flow, the kind of data, input data, which is being used in 3D printing, and which can be used to produce different kinds of components. So obviously one is the path which I have already described to you. That is, you start with 3D CAD modeling, you make STL file, and then you proceed further and you deposit the component. Am I correct? Are you hearing everybody?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now
So in the previous slide, you said we need a structure,
yeah,
stabilized structure.
I was saying that if there is an overhanging structure,
Or
what do you mean by overhanging structure? Overhanging structure means when, suppose you have a structure like this, correct? Suppose you have a structure like this. Can you see me? Suppose the
yes, sir.
component is like this. You know, this is how the component is. I can tell you, I can show you some component. Suppose this is the component. Suppose this is the component, correct? Now this is, you
Correct.
can see the component here.
Yes.
Now when you will deposit this component like this, for example, so in the beginning, because there's a gap here, so if you want to deposit it like this, correct, then
Yes.
there will be nothing here. So you have to make some support structure on which you will deposit the layers.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Like in civil engineering also, you might have seen when the homes are constructed, when you construct the roof, correct, or ceiling, what do? You put support from the bottom, and then you make ceiling on that, and then later on support structure is removed. I think now you can understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I'm
Yes, sir.
sharing the screen again. So this is the, like, so in a very less amount of time we can have, you know, CAD model to prototype. That's why we call these processes to be rapid prototyping processes. Now the next is the data flow. What kind of data we can use? The data which we can use is the 3D CAD, as I have already told, which is converted to STL file, and then we we can also use 2D drawing, which can be converted to 3D CAD, then STL, and you can print. The other two are very important ones, although the first two are also important, but other two are very interesting, I'll say. Interesting means one thing is called point cloud data. Like I have a component, suppose I want to produce one component. Suppose this is the bottle, correct? I want to produce exactly the same bottle. Is it okay? So what I will do, I will scan it. The way you scan the picture in a scanner. Similarly, there are hardware. You can scan this 3D geometry, correct? So it will give you point cloud data. Now this point cloud data you can use, and this point cloud data you can use in some softwares. They are called reverse engineering softwares. So using this reverse engineering softwares, you can create 3D CAD model of this object and then STL file, and you can exactly print the same thing. So the advantage here would be that suppose you have a very old machine component. You don't have any information. The drawing has been lost. You don't know how to capture that geometry. So you want to produce that component again. So what you will do, you will take it to that scanner, you will catch the point cloud data, you will do the reverse engineering, you will make the model, and then you can have the STL file and you can print the component. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you know, like you have some very old monument, you have some old idol. Suppose you have a very old idol you have got from some place. It is a 2000 years old idol, and you want to produce, you know, replica of that. So what you will do, you can do scanning of that object, 3D scanning, and then you can do reverse engineering, you can produce CAD model, do STL file, and you can print exactly, you know, same idol, definitely within the accuracy limits of that machine of 3D printer. So that is called reverse engineering application of 3D printing. The last one is very interesting. That is called, you can, biomedical application, correct? Like you can even use the CT scan data or MRI data. You all know, I believe, today we all understand what is the meaning of CT scan data and MRI data. So
Yes,
this
sir.
CT scan data or MRI data we can use, and uh, there's a software called EasyWay or Mimics. There are some softwares where the DICOM files which are created by this MRI or CT scan, they can be opened and you can reconstruct the geometry. Like that will be like, suppose somebody does the the scanning of this portion of the hand, elbow portion of the hand, correct? You do the scanning. So basically, the by there are certain operations in that software. You can find out the area from grayscaling which belongs to high density and low density. So basically, you can select the area which belongs to the bones. So you will finally, and other area you can remove, so you get a solid model of the bones, correct? And you get the solid model of the bones, you get the STL file, and then you can print that particular joint, or maybe a particular, bone. So that's the biomedical application of 3D printing, which is one of the very important, very interesting, and very useful application of 3D printing. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So how much is the time left now? 10 minutes, I think. Okay. So let me proceed. Now, as far as the, like in the beginning, I told you yesterday also, that in the beginning, this 3D printing was developed as a prototyping tool. It was developed as a product engineering tool. It was assisting the design evaluation function. That is the prototyping, which is a product engineering function. Correct? So if you see the product engineering, there are different functions of the product engineering. So what is being suggested in literature, that if somebody brings in this new way of prototyping, that is the rapid prototyping in your design cycle. If you bring this rapid prototyping in your design cycle, correct? Then by introducing this new way of model manufacturing or prototyping, people have already conducted studies which show that the product lead time means you started thinking about a product, that okay, I will design, I will make it, I will launch it in the market. That is called product. From the day from which start identifying the needs of the product, and the day when you launch the product into market, that is called product lead time. The product lead time can be reduced up to 90% in certain cases. Correct? So you can see here what has been written, 10 to 50%. This particular time, product lead time, which was 100%, it can be reduced to 10% to 50%. Means you are able to reduce the time by, suppose the meaning is that suppose your product lead time is 100 days. So if you bring this way of rapid prototyping in between in your product engineering function, you may end up with a product lead time of 10 to 50 days. That is the situation. That is the kind of advantage you have with rapid prototyping, or today we call it 3D printing. Now, if we try to see the various kinds of processes, correct? If we try to see the various kinds of processes for rapid prototyping, we have processes which are based on liquid. I'll start with liquid. Now, why I'm starting with liquid? Because the first in 1994, the first process of 3D printing, which is known as stereolithography, was developed, and it was patented in 1994. This 3D printing actually, or rapid prototyping actually started in 1994, we can say. So if I'm using raw material as liquid, it is a liquid based process, and the most interesting and most successful process which is commercially available today is called stereolithography. Here the laser is used to sinter the material. I will show you in tomorrow's class these technologies. You will show the diagrams, I'll explain the principle to you. And other than this, there may be heat polymerization. There may be, instead of laser, you can apply some heat and you can make the liquid to solid. So in solid ground curing, you can use a UV lamp instead of laser beam. Correct? So that's what liquid, if we are using liquid as raw material. If we use solid as raw material, so solid can be used in form of wires. It can be used as powders. It can be used as a foil. Correct? The solid can be used as a wire in the beginning. It may be powder or it may be foil. So if we are using it wire, we call the process to be fuse deposition modeling. It is one very interesting process. One of the most economical 3D printer is based on this concept. Then if we use one powder or more than one powder blended together then the machine is called selective laser sintering. If it is using metal powder, we call it selective laser melting. If we are using foil, then we call it as laminated object manufacturing. All these things I'll explain to you tomorrow. Then, like there may be some paste based processes, correct? Like if you see these bioprinters today, the bioprinters are based on the paste based technology. There's a bio ink, which is nothing but a kind of paste, and the paste, but here what I have written is paste polymerization, so that can polymerize also. And but I don't think that there's any commercial process which is there when you use gas. But chemical vapor deposition or liquid chemical vapor deposition are the processes which are for other purposes. We don't make, they are used to deposit the material, they are used to make coatings basically, but we do not make components out of that. So it is a different class of process, but definitely we add material when we use LCVD kind of processes. So I think I must stop here because I will take the various processes tomorrow, and I can move ahead with the applications tomorrow. Is it okay?
Okay,
So
sir.
Aditya Narayanji, are you
Yeah.
there?
Yes, sir.
So this
Okay.
is okay I think, for today. And students, you can discuss with me till the meeting
Yeah.
ends. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Okay. If you have any questions, so you can ask with sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Anyone having the question, then you ask. Any question from your side? Dear participant, any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Uh, Sir, I think no question will arise from the participants. So today we stop. Okay.
So fine. So tomorrow we will learn about the various processes and
Yes,
the
sir.
applications of 3D printing. Correct?
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir.